Good evening, Jets Nation. Welcome to the Jets Duo Show. I'm your host, Jude, joined by my co-host, Italy Jet. How's it going, man?
It's going okay. Very tired. Got a lot to do, but it's a good day. Always good to talk about Jets. And guess what, dude?
What?
We got a new logo.
You got a new logo.
We got a new logo for the Jets Duo Show. My priority this offseason was to get logos for all my shows, and I am so glad that we got this. It's a great logo. It looks good. I like where the future's going with this show. And on Let's Talk Sports with me and Jude as well. It's a good day, man. How are you?
Doing good, man. Pretty pleased with some of the guys the New York Jets have interviewed for its
Mm.
offensive coordinator search, and life's just been going good so far. Pretty easy week at school so far. So nothing to complain about. Life's going great, and of course we got a logo. We got a beautiful logo. If you guys see it right behind there, we got it in the top corner. We got it on the back thumbnail. We got it on the intro. It's everywhere. So yeah, beautiful logo. Appreciate you for making it, Italy Jet, you and your wife. But we got some offensive coordinator stuff to talk about. New York Jets have interviewed quite a bit of people for the offensive coordinator job. Just reading off of the names reading off the guys we have interviewed so far. The guys we've interviewed today include Brian Johnson, the Eagles quarterback coach, and former Houston Cougars, the college team, the Florida Gators offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, former Broncos head coach, and of course Packers and Jaguars offensive coordinator Marcus Brady, former Colts offensive coordinator Kevin Patelo, sorry if I mispronounced that, Eagles passing game coordinator, and Nick Caley, Patriots tight end coach. So definitely an intriguing group of coordinators that could potentially be ours. So, what are your thoughts on this list? Do you have a certain guy that you want the New York Jets to hire, a certain guy that you want the New York Jets to stay away from, someone that intrigues you? Just your overall thoughts on this list.
I mean, it's kind of a no-win situation for us right now because it looks like it looks like a lot of people don't want to come right now. I don't really Bavel. That's a really interesting one because I don't really. I understand he's waiting for the right opportunity. And I understand that because the Jets aren't an intriguing team right now to go to because we don't know who we have at quarterback. We got weapons, we got a good team, but there's only two things missing on the offense is an offensive line and a quarterback. And
Right.
then we still got to figure out wide receiver and O line, coaches as well. So, I mean, on that list, the only thing that intrigues me is Hackett. Hackett is a good quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, but he's not a good head coach. And
Right.
if it was my ideal guy, it's Frank Wright. But Frank Wright is not going to be an offensive coordinator anytime soon, in my personal opinion. I think
Mhm.
he's going to try and go after a coaching job, a head coaching job, which is good for him. We'll see what happens. But overall, Hackett is the only thing that jumps out at me right now because he can get Rodgers in, but I'm still waiting to see because right now it's just not hot right now. The market for Jets coaching because you don't know what's going to happen next year because this could only be like a 1 year trial with these offensive coordinators, and if we lose and aren't good this year, then everyone's going to get a clean sweep. So it's going to be very interesting because this off season is going to be wild. What about you?
Well, you mentioned, of course, it could be a potential one and done situation for one of
Right.
these offensive coordinators. I mean, Robert Saleh's job security, Joe Douglas's job security, definitely.
Right.
I mean, Woody Johnson did say, he's committed to sticking with these guys. He wants, to give him all this leverage and give him a lot of tools to work with this year. But if we don't make the playoffs next season with the roster we have, I mean, you definitely got to think that their job security is up in the air next year. So, I mean, it could be interesting because maybe one of these guys might say, "Hey, I want to have a long term job. I don't want to get canned after 1 year. So just let me see what other options I have, and that could be in reasons why we don't get some of these offensive coordinators. And at the same time, we have a lot of young superstars to work with. We got guys like Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Mekhi Becton, Elijah Vera Tucker, CJ Uzama, Tyler Conklin, Zonovan Knight, Michael Carter. Like, there's a lot of intriguing names on this Jets offense that we could have pieces to work with. And that definitely could lure some of these guys to end up being an offensive coordinator and calling plays for the New York Jets. But you take a look down at everyone, we have interviewed everyone pretty much has a play calling background, which is what I wanted the New York Jets to go for. I
Yeah.
I wanted us to just hire someone who has successfully called plays in the past before, not some hot shot, position coach or passing or running games coordinator for some team, because that's what Mike LaFluer was. And I mean, obviously that experiment did not work out. So just go out, give me a proven play caller, someone that has done it and someone that can do it again. And you look at,
Right.
three of our five guys we've interviewed have done that. Nathaniel Hackett was an offensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars and Green Bay Packers, has had success with both of those offenses in the past. Of course, the experiment in Denver did not work out. Their offense was historically bad. Russell Wilson, worst season of his career. That's obviously not great, but you look at what he did as an offensive coordinator, and there's a lot more positives in his career overall as a coach. Marcus
Yeah.
with the Colts offense, wasn't exactly great during his tenure, but then you also look at the talent he had to deal with on the offensive side of things. I mean, a constant rotation of quarterbacks. You have, you know, no really offensive weapons except for Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, who is their wide receiver one. I mean, pretty much viewed as a wide receiver two, high in two, low in one. I mean, they've always had a good offensive line, but there's never really been toys for this Colts offense to play with. And that can really do just a lot of things to an offensive coordinator. It makes him very hard for him to call plays. And you can definitely give Marcus Brady the benefit of the doubt. And on top of that, he's learning from Frank Reich, who obviously every single Jets fan wants as our offensive coordinator right now. So he has that, mentorship. And along with Reich coming from the Doug Peterson coaching tree, not quite sure if Brady was on the Eagles when Peterson was there, but I'm pretty sure he was. So he definitely just has all those connections right there. And then you look at Nick, or not Nick Caley, excuse me, Brian Johnson. He doesn't have any NFL play calling experience, but in college he was a very successful offensive coordinator, was very successful with the Houston Cougars, ran an excellent offense with them in the American Athletic Conference. And then he ran an excellent offense with the Florida Gators. They were averaging, I want to say, close to 500 yards a game whenever Brian Johnson was their offensive coordinator in 2020, like putting up insane numbers. That was a year when Kyle Pitts bought out, Kyle Trask bought out. Like, Brian Johnson can run an offense. He can also coach the quarterback position. I mean, he was Dak Prescott's quarterback coach when Prescott was a Heisman finalist, leading Mississippi State to the number one overall, record in college football before, they lost some games. But still, he was their offensive coordinator responsible for Dak Prescott having that type
Yeah.
of play in, leading to Dak Prescott being the quarterback he is in the NFL right now. And he also was the quarterback coach for Kyle Trask. Had a brilliant year in Florida, was a Heisman finalist, and ended up being a second round pick. You might ask, where's Kyle Trask? Backing up Tom Brady in Florida. So he's in a great situation. And then he also led to Jalen Hurts becoming a superstar. Jalen Hurts looked like an all right quarterback. He gets Brian Johnson, turns into an MVP candidate. Like, Brian Johnson just is a brilliant offensive mind. And out of all the guys we've interviewed, honestly, he's a guy that intrigues me the most. And then you also look at everyone we've interviewed, there's a lot of connections to the Philadelphia Eagles with Doug Peterson's staff and what Nick Sirianni's staff. But in the end, it all kind of boils down from Doug Peterson. It sounds like the New York Jets, who didn't hire Doug Peterson as our head coach last year, want someone with a similar offensive mind to him, just based on the success the
Yeah.
Jaguars had this year. I mean, both Marcus Brady, Kevin Patalolo, and Brian Johnson all have some type of experience with this Doug Peterson offense. So the New York Jets definitely seem to be going in that direction. And what are your thoughts on that? Do you think the New York Jets should be leaning towards that direction, getting a Doug Peterson type of offense in here, or are you not really a fan of that?
I have been observing the firings lately, and I think I'd really like Harris out of the Rams. I really like Byron Leftwich from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I like those options a lot, and I do like Brian Johnson. You brought up some good points about Brian Johnson on his history, and I like Hackett, but I don't like him for an offensive coordinator because I like the pieces that he is good with quarterbacks, and also even Nagy. I would love to bring in
Right.
Nagy too. Only for an offense coordinator, quarterback. He's good with quarterbacks. He wasn't a good head coach. We all know the history. Everyone keeps saying Gase. I mean, Gase was a horrible head coach, but he was a good like QB coach, not an offense coordinator, a QB coach. It's
Right.
like Kingsbury too. Like you can argue that he's not a good head coach, but he is a good probably offense coordinator. He can do good with QBs, but overall, he's not a well liked guy. So
Mhm.
it's like Gase, not a very well liked guy. Nagy, on the other hand, I would like those top five guys for me. I think would be really nice. Brady, Patullo, and Callie, I'm okay. But
Same.
Johnson, Hackett, Harris, Leftwich, and Nagy. Wait, no, I did say that right. Yeah, no, whatever. Five. Those five guys, I think would be good. Oh, Olsen. Sorry,
Right.
Olsen. I think I would like to leave the Kubiak thing alone. I think Kubiak's not going to come back at all.
Oh no.
But I think we should look in those directions. And Babel is a good quarterback coach, but I don't blame him looking for other opportunities. 'Cause you just don't know what the Jets. Jets are a toss up right now. You don't know what's going to happen. So that's the way I'm looking at it.
And you do mention Babel. You guys might be looking at the guys interviewed and say, well, where's Babel from the Miami Dolphins? Well, the Jets and the Commanders both requested to interview him, and he turned down the request. The dude
Right.
simply either doesn't want to come to these two teams, and the Commanders and the Jets both kind of have some situations where it could potentially be one and done right there. I mean, you look
Right.
at the Commanders. There's some hot water going on with Ron Rivera. Who knows what direction they're going to head in? Maybe he's let go after the season, and the same thing could be said about Robert Saleh. So maybe Babel's looking at that and saying, "Hey, I just want to go to an offense that just got a new head coach or someone that is just made like there's just a lot of different routes he could be looking for, and whatever the Jets Commanders could potentially be cooking up, he's just not simply interested in. And you bring up Olsen, he honestly is my number one target for the offensive coordinator search. Like whenever I made my video about who the New York Jets should hire at offensive coordinator, Olsen was the guy I wanted, simply because I thought this dude could bring in Derek Carr. I mean, you look at what Derek Carr did with Greg Olsen. I mean, he had his most successful seasons with Olsen as his offensive coordinator. So if you can bring in
Agreed.
Olsen, you could potentially lure Carr in, and that means Derek Carr could potentially playing his best ball for under Olsen once again. And Olsen also has a lot of experience with quarterbacks as well. I mean, he was Drew Brees' college quarterback coach, and obviously Drew Brees turned into the Hall of Fame player he is right now. And then you also look at all the guys we've interviewed so far. A lot of them have experience with quarterbacks. Not every single one of them. Nick Caley, Patriots tight end coach, Kevin Patalolo, the
Hmm.
Eagles passing game coordinator, Brian Johnson, Nathaniel Hackett. A lot of these guys have the experience with quarterbacks, and
Right.
it really seems like the New York Jets are just wanting to get a guy in who can develop Zach Wilson, can turn him into a superstar, because I mean, in the end, the New York Jets really want to keep Zach Wilson. And,
Right.
whether or not that's a smart decision or not, that's another story for another time. But
Right.
not of course, not all these offensive coordinator, interviews are based on the New York Jets wanting to improve Zach Wilson, but you can kind of get the sense that they want to get a guy in here who can help develop Wilson. So what are your thoughts on the New York Jets potentially bringing in, a guy out here to, help develop Zach Wilson? And do you think that's the right move? If
Which
that's what,
part? Which
like,
part?
if the New York Jets want to bring in a guy to kind of commit to Zach Wilson, do you think the
Yeah.
New York Jets should be doing that?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where you could tell LaFluer just didn't do it right, and the whole coaching staff didn't do it right. None of them
Right.
really did it right. I mean, they even admitted it, and I hate that. I hate that we have to continue to go through this QB drought. I hate that we keep picking up these wrong guys and not making chances and not executing on a quarterback, and especially if we can't block them as well. It's it's very important to get a offensive coordinator that has a quarterback history or it's been a quarterback coach, or it's had histories with good quarterbacks, playoffs, Super Bowls, whatever you want. We all know what Salah brings. We all know what Olbrich has brought in, and even Boyer. But that offensive coordinator is we're missing that. That's what are the big things that are missing, and we can continue to be a good team. We have to make some few changes, but and it sounds like, oh hey, no duh, Italy, right? No duh. I'm like, yeah, but we're close to a championship team. So if you could knock this out, we won't have to talk about this ever again.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if we could get a quarterback in Zach Wilson, all the stuff we're talking about, Derek Carr, Lamar Jackson, all the years of projecting which quarterbacks are going to be the best in the league could be over.
Right.
I mean, Zach Wilson can work out. The New York Jets could potentially be, done with that. And that's just going to depend on who we hire as our offensive coordinator, because
Right.
obviously the staff we, had didn't get the job done. And, one guy in particular I want to talk about out of the, interviews that we've had is Nick Caley, the Patriots tight end coach. This was the most interesting kind of interview for me because he
Yeah.
never has had any really play calling background, and he's the Patriots tight end coach. And the tight ends, and 2 years ago the Patriots brought in, they brought in Hunter Henry, they brought in Jonnu Smith, expecting them to be these two big body pass catchers for Mac Jones to run their offense, to kind
Right.
of have an offense like the Ravens to where they run it through the tight ends. That's what I was expecting to happen. And Nick Caley just really didn't get the job done with those tight ends. You look at Jonnu Smith, he's considered as one of the biggest free agent busts, of this decade so far. The dude got $12.5 million a year,
And
completely
Henry.
disappeared. And
And
Hunter Henry.
Henry.
I mean, Henry had some production, but it's not what the Patriots were expecting. Like,
Heck yeah.
neither of these two players, they're getting paid like top 5 tight ends in the NFL right now, and
Right.
they're not playing like they're top 10. And is that blamed on them just kind of giving up because they got money? Because it has happened in the NFL, or is it Kaylee's fault? Like that interview was just so interesting to me. Maybe the New York Jets are kind of saying, "Hey, we'll give you some money if you give us Bill Belichick secrets." Why is this dude a good coach? Because he's been with the Patriots for quite some time, and maybe
Yeah.
that's the lure of getting Kaylee, getting someone who has just a lot of experience with Bill Belichick, someone that knows how the Patriots are constantly having success each year. Maybe that's the draw of getting Kaylee, but as an offensive coordinator, I really don't see him working out. And on top of that, the Patriots' offense was horrendous this year. I mean, the Patriots could have very well hired Kaylee as their offensive coordinator after they didn't have one last season, and they didn't. They decided to go with this Joe Judge, Matt Patricia experiment that didn't work instead of getting Kaylee the job. Like, I just really don't know what the draw of getting Kaylee is outside of him having many years with Bill Belichick. And yeah, you can say that the Patriots had a great tight end in Rob Gronkowski, but Kaylee wasn't their tight end coach for the most part of Gronkowski's development. And
Right.
you look at Gronkowski, he was successful tight end even after he left the Patriots. I mean, Gronkowski is just a generational talented tight end. So I just really don't know what the point of this Kaylee interview is. Do you have any thoughts on the Jets, interviewing Nick Kaylee?
I don't, and I don't care. It's one of those things where it's like I really don't think he brings anything to the table besides secrets, right? I think
Right.
he's done good in certain areas, but he's done horrible in other areas, especially at the tight end position, like you said. So I am looking at the situation like, okay, if Mike LaFluer couldn't develop our tight ends and put them as much in the game plan, why would we bring in Kaylee? Because he did a horrible job with the Patriots.
Right.
Tight ends. Everything's Gronk left. So
Exactly.
I don't understand that move. Maybe they have another move that we're thinking about, or maybe they're just interviewing, right? They're just interviewing, right? So it's just going to be really interesting at the end of the day. I'm curious. I'm super curious to see what they're going to do in those departments because I want to know if they're going to bring in that type of offensive coordinator. I want to know what they're going to do with the O-line coach and the wide receivers coach, because if you're going to do that and bring in like mediocre guys like that, then I'm going to be concerned.
And just looking at Kaylee's resume as an offensive coordinator, or not as an offensive coordinator, but just his resume in general.
Okay.
2005, he was a student assistant at John Carroll. 2006 to 2007, graduate assistant from Akron. He was an administrative assistant with Auburn in 2008, graduate assistant at Iowa State 2009 to 2011, secondary coach, so a defensive background with Eastern Illinois 2012, graduate assistant with Arkansas 2013, secondary coach with Florida Atlantic 2014, 2015 through 16, offensive assistant with the Patriots. 2017 through 19, a tight ends coach for the Patriots, 2020 to 21, tight ends coach and fullbacks coach with the Patriots, and then this year he just became the tight ends coach. So really, he's been coaching the tight ends, and that's been his primary job with the Patriots since 2017. And he had Gronkowski, an already proven veteran, so his job was really easy. And you look at the other problems the Patriots have had over the years after Gronk left. Patriots was one of them. Like, I can think of so many tight ends the Patriots drafted that didn't work out. One of them being Devin Asiasi. I think he was like a third-round pick tight end. I don't even know if he's on an NFL roster right now. I only remember that dude because he used to give me hella Madden. Like, the dude was always developing into like an 80 overall player, superstar X Factor, like weirdly specific information right here. But that's why I remember him. Thought he was going to be a stud in the NFL. Didn't do anything. And how much of that falls on Kaylee. I just simply don't understand hiring Kaylee outside of him giving secrets to the New York Jets.
Right.
But it's just super, super interesting, this hire. Maybe they see something that we don't, but it's probably not going to be anything that we don't see because obviously Mike LaFluer didn't work out. So just very, very interesting interview right here with Nick Kaylee. And then, of course, this is just an interview. Doesn't mean we're going to hire him. But if we do hire him, definitely going to be very, very disappointed because you also don't get a quarterback developer either. Like, I mean, we're going to bring in a quarterback this off season, but you hire Kaylee, Zach Wilson's most likely not going to have a future because Kaylee, he's not a quarterback coach, has no background in that area. It's not like he's a former college quarterback or anything. So it's just like, what are the New York Jets thinking behind this Kaylee? But then, of course, it's an interview where I'm thinking way too much into this. But yeah,
you are.
I'm thinking way too much into this. Just ranting though, because I'm like, I never got it. I never got a chance to talk about it. I'm just getting all my anger out right here. Poor Nick Kaylee too, man. Imagine he's watching the stream right now and it's just like, what did I ever do to offend you? And you did nothing, Nick Kaylee, except coach for the Patriots and ruin my childhood. That's all.
Yeah, you just ruined my childhood.
Just ruined my childhood. That's all.
My closing argument is, and also follow me on Italy Jet, everything MYJ on all social media platforms. I do soccer and Jets content. Let's talk sports, and also everywhere else. VNR Hour, you can catch us on the Duo Show, and also Let's Talk Sports, and Let's Talk Jets. My closing thoughts are: whoever the hell we bring in, should be smart about it. That's all I'm saying. Be smart about it. I already told you my top 5 guys I want now, but just be smart. As long as we can be smart and continue not the Jet way anymore, a new Jet way. That's all I gotta say.
My closing thoughts: don't bring in Nick Kaylee.
Don't bring in Nick Kaylee.
Yeah. If you guys want to, that's a slogan. Gonna put that on a T-shirt. Make $1 million. Amen. So if you guys want to check me out, social medias @Jude_Jets, Instagram and Twitter. Of course, our social medias are linked down below in the description. Want to find us on some platforms? Just got to scroll down a little bit, and it's going to be right there. Italy Jet and my socials are also bottom of your screen and by your names. Plenty of places to find us if you want to follow us. And then, of course, this is my YouTube channel. Want to check out some of my videos? Scroll a little bit down. Yeah, that's it for today's stream, and we will see you guys next Wednesday because this is a new thing now. No more Thursday show. Show will be on Wednesday, and I will make more of a public announce for that later as well. But yeah, that is it, and we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.